Hey everybody, Jason here. It's been a long time since I've uploaded a video. I don't really know why. Life's been crazy, with the whole coronavirus thing and all the weird, crazy stuff that's happening in the world right now. All the people fighting, and there's some ducks laying in that yard. All the angry people and the fighting and looting and all that other crap. Which, to a certain extent I kind of get it, But anyway, I generally try to keep my channel limited to role-playing game stuff or board games or whatever. Mostly role-playing. Every once in a while I'll bring up the topic of a board game. Speaking of which, I've been playing a lot of different mini games at work, and some of them are pretty awesome. I'll talk about them some more sometime. But something that's popped up recently is excuse me, I'm on my way to work. I haven't had any coffee yet, and I'm really tired. But anyway, something that's popped up recently is talk about alignment in D&D, and specifically to it pertaining to like an overall general alignment of a specific race, like orcs or gnomes or drow or whatever. I guess race is another topic too. All of a sudden, the big fad is for the word or a term race to be unacceptable, which I think is bullshit. All of a sudden, everybody's offended by it and all that other fucking nonsense. It's been called race since the beginning of D&D. It's never been a derogatory term. It's never meant anything bad. It's literally just been a word. We know what we all know what it means. Anybody who plays D&D knows what it means, and they know that there's nothing mean or negative about it or anything like that. But all of a sudden, all these little fucking snowflakes are trying to complain that it's a term that needs to be changed to like ethnicity or background or fucking ancestry or whatever. No, it's race. It's always been race, because there's nothing negative about it. All of a sudden, people are letting these words hold some sort of power over them that's never been held before. So no. I could say my ancestry is human. Yeah, of course of course my ancestry is human. I'm a human. If you're an orc, then your ancestors were orcs. So yeah, you're an orc. What do you say your ancestry is if you're a half orc? Well, just half orc. Anyway, that's another story for another time or another discussion, I guess. It's really, really annoying. I'm very opinionated, if you couldn't tell. I've got no patience for these pathetic ass SJW fucking whiny ass babies that have their feelings hurt every time the fucking wind changes direction, But anyway, But this is another part of it, is the alignment thing. People are all offended now, saying that, and even the big fucking clowns up at Wizards of the Coast, you know, the head guys at Wizards of the Coast are getting in on the conversation and virtue signaling about it and agreeing with everybody that, oh yeah, it's not fair to label all orcs as evil, and it's not fair to say that, you know, gnolls and goblins are all evil or whatever. It is fair to do that. If I understand to a certain extent saying that not all orcs are evil, I would say that's probably correct. And I say probably because it's fiction. It's not real. How do we know? It's fiction. If you want, you know, in the real world, you can say that the majority of humans are probably, if you had to assign an alignment to humans, would probably be neutral, I guess. I don't really like the alignment system. I think it's kind of stupid. However, if you're going to have it, then it needs to have some sort of meaning. So I would say in the real world, humans are probably normal or neutral. Some are good, some are evil, but the majority of us are probably neutral. If you go into a Forgotten Realms game and you look at humans, the way they've been written and the way that they've behaved throughout history of the Forgotten Realms on Faerun, they're probably neutral, with a lot of them skewing towards good, a lot of them skewing towards evil, but mostly neutral. If you look at like halflings and things, probably neutral to good, or maybe good to neutral. Elves, probably the majority are good, not neutral but good. Orcs, probably evil. Maybe a neutral evil, but evil. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to have a fictional race, the majority of them, be evil. Because the society that they live in and the way their brains are wired, that's just probably what they tend to you know, lean towards. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it can be great because the games that we play are, for the most part, about drama and story. And what makes for good drama and storytelling is somebody who breaks off from that mindset. A great example is Drizzt from the Forgotten Realms and the Drow. I like the character, obviously. I think he's a little overdone at this point. He's a little too much. The face, I mean, the whole thing is skewed blown way out of control as far as like all the characters dying and all the characters coming back and people living way longer than their race would normally allow, you know, but that's not the point of the story. The point is, he comes from the Drow, which are inherently an evil race. It's that shaky road. You guys missed that shaky road. And you know, he wasn't evil and he didn't fit into the society, so he left and went to carve his own future and not succumb to the whole, you know, negative, evil aspect of that race and that culture. And that's what made for the drama in his life, and that's what made things so exciting. He was different from everybody else. So, and that's the other thing about the Drow. Typically, I believe lawful evil would be what they would be. And if you read any of the books concerning the Drow, especially War of the Spider Queen, which is an amazing series, fantastic series. If you read how their society is and what they value and the things that they're trying to do, they could be nothing but evil. And that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It makes for an interesting story because it's fiction. You know, I would say that within their own society, they're probably neutral to evil towards each other, maybe some good. But just the way that whole race is wired in their heads, they're evil. They backstab each other. They scheme against each other. That's just how they live, and that's okay to have that amongst that society. But to say that, well, it's unfair to label all these races as evil and this and that and blah blah blah. It's just unfair. Not everybody would be evil. Just come on, man. Why is it so bad to have a fictional, something that's not real? Why do you have to bring your PC bullshit into D&D? You know? It just doesn't make any sense. It's really bothersome, and what's really unfortunate is that lots and lots of game makers now are jumping on this bandwagon of having to be to have the to shine the brightest virtue signal up into the world, so everybody knows that they're with you, they're fighting with you, you know. Just be a normal person. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. I know I'm rambling here, which is kind of my thing in videos, but it's really, really, really bothers me. I think when we see 6th edition come out, that might be the end of D&D for me. I'll probably have to stick to older editions, mainly because of the SJW nonsense that's going to be just littered through it. It's going to be fucking clown shoes, man. It's going to be fucking clown shoes. It's going to be terrible. Unless they get some changes in leadership before this stuff gets written. Because as it is now, we're not going to have... we're not going to have, sex or race on your character sheet. We're going to have fucking pronouns and ancestry. Because they got to make the SJWs happy. They got to cater to them. When in reality, there's nothing wrong with saying, what's your sex? Were you born with girl parts, or were you born with boy parts? Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Thanks for the tip. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that there's no such thing as gender, as far as like, you may have been born with a dick, but you feel like a girl. That's totally fine, I get that. I'm not saying that kind of stuff doesn't exist. And that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is, if you have that, it doesn't exclude the other thing from being there. You know what I mean? There's just certain traditions, I think, in D&D that are not necessarily exclusive. I'm all for, gay rights and trans rights and the alphabet community. Sometimes I call them the alphabet mafia because they get a little wacky with shit. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think everybody deserves to have a voice. I think everybody deserves to have freedom of choice. Everybody deserves to live their life without being hated on and all this other stuff, you know. But that's the thing, you know, I don't have to come out and advertise it. It's a shame that we have to advertise normalcy. You know, like, I shouldn't have to come out and just say, I believe in trans rights. You know, why? I live my life, and if I meet somebody like that, I just treat them like I would anybody else. Because they are like anybody else. They're just human. It's just, there's nothing wrong with the way they are. That's like saying there's something wrong with me because I identify as a boy. Okay, who cares? I'm not saying that there's not injustices against these people, because there certainly are. And I think that sucks. What I'm saying is, I don't... If you want to be like everybody else, you got to be treated like everybody else. And so, the way for me to normalize that is to treat them like I would treat anybody else. And I think the more we normalize it and stop shining a spotlight on it, that's what makes it more normal. The more you shine a light on something and highlight it and point out how different it is, it's going to remain being different. So, when it comes to D&D, I know I went way off track, and I apologize. But this is, you know, obviously something that's been going on a lot lately, and I'm very opinionated about it. And I'm very, 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 very much for everybody being treated equal and having their rights and things like that. But not having your rights doesn't mean changing pre-existing things that were never offensive to begin with. Just because something didn't, just because there wasn't like a little check mark next to a box saying, on a D&D character sheet saying, you know, I was born with a dick, but I feel like I'm a girl. That doesn't mean you're excluded from being in the game or being part of the game or existing in the game or anything like that. The need for inclusion at some point, the more you focus on inclusion and the more you strengthen that inside something, the more you exclude everything out of it. I know people could say, well, that goes both ways. Why can you have sex on there but not gender? And just my personal opinion, it's something that has always existed the way it is and never in an offensive way that doesn't exclude anybody. There's no need to change it. There's just not. I've got to go into work. I'm going to shut this off, and I'll talk more about it later. Another video. Peace.